So, 2021 just ended, and I figured out that I should sum it up. I've had this idea in mind to do annual recaps of what happened to me since 2017, but I just never got around to doing it, simply because I didn't feel like it, I didn't know what form should it have, or didn't think it would suit my channel. But what I've learned this year is that I should definitely do what I want if it comes to my online activity. But let's start from the beginning. I started the year by still finishing off some 2020 stuff, most notably the No Life Holiday Special No Lives Alone in Paris. Even though some parts of it came off as rushed, I can't really blame myself. Sure, I don't approve of that anymore, but for a long time working on it 2 weeks after Christmas was like a nightmare to me. So I'm glad it ended and still turned out great, despite a few flaws. After the video, I could look proudly at almost 2 hours of content produced in just 9 months. Thus, I got some well-deserved time of animation, possibly a little too long, but I really needed to recharge my batteries. In February, I began to regularly work out, that is at least 3 times a week. I think I did really well on that, as I've been doing that ever since. I've only neglected that in the past few weeks due to being sick, but I'm coming back to it. February was also the month that I came back to work on Team My Episode 3 after a year-long break. It was slow at first, but in the next months I gained some pace and was back on track. I also announced all of my 2021 projects, but we'll talk about those later. March finally saw the release of Milo Murphy's Law Reanimated, which I participated in, and I couldn't be happier seeing all the other animators work joined together. Soon after that, I began a series of commentaries on my 2016 videos, since 5 years is a nice and round number, but it was a mediocre idea in hindsight. I wanted to capture my reactions of watching those things after a long time, but I'm kinda bad at talking without a script. The commentaries were also meant to keep the channel alive between the animations, but I feel like taking a break from animating and doing that whenever a video anniversary approached, even though it wasn't long to produce, took away some time that I could have sacrificed for animating. I also made my most popular video yet, out of a dumb Godzilla vs Kong meme. Seriously, how does this have almost 2000 views already? I finally reached 69 subscribers in May. Nice! And then I experienced possibly the biggest subscription growth in a year, as I'm almost 20 subs later right now. But don't be so shy. I'm hungry for any feedback! Cinemas reopened in May, so I returned there on the first day after a 9-month-long break, possibly the longest in my life, so obviously my cinephile soul ascended. I really developed in that aspect this year. Despite the pandemic restrictions, I beat my life record of cinema visits per year with 34 trips. I also got vaccinated, and it didn't even weaken me that much. June was just amazing. Despite coming back to stationary classes for barely a month, which seemed dumb at first, it was actually the best time that I have ever spent in school. I also experienced Back to the Future in a fresher cinema, and rewatching it after so many years only reminded me that it's one of my favorite movies. I turned 18! And the existential crisis caused by the years passing by so quickly has never been so bad. But I'm not giving in to that. 2018 was 4 years ago! I did what I was planning to do for a long while, meaning tried focusing on pop culture videos, starting out with a character history video dedicated to Peacemaker, a character whom I got to know and learned a lot about this year. As you can see, I didn't continue with that gimmick, just couldn't get myself to do anything more while also focusing on standard animation. But regardless, on the same day that I released that video, I went to see my favorite movie of the year. You'll never guess what that is. While the commentaries turned out to be dull, the one released to celebrate the 5th anniversary of Teen Y's first episode was undoubtedly the best. I invited Yaro to talk with me in the commentary, and we've had a lot of fun doing so. I joined a podcast in Polish, and I love it! Been dreaming about that for many years, and I just can't describe how happy I am to finally be able to talk about my passion with other film geek friends that I met through Twitter this year. Probably the only reason why I love Twitter. I celebrated my channel's 6th anniversary, and for that occasion I released the teaser to potentially my biggest animated project yet, which turned out amazing, even though it premiered an hour after the anniversary day. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter that the whole movie was supposed to be released that year. Because 2021 was when, after years of saying that animation is simply my hobby, I finally started practicing that idea. Sometimes possibly even too much, resulting in the lack of projects completed this easier. But nevertheless, I finally learned to take it easy, and thanks to that, it was one of the best years in my life. I watched 171 new movies and read 8 books, which is little but much better than last year. My attitude to life became much more positive. I've met many wonderful people, both in real life and online. I've made many beautiful memories, and I hope all that will happen again in 2022, to me and all of you. Have a very good year, and let's hopefully all achieve our goals. Until the next one,